What's up, everyone? How are we? How's things? How are we doing today? How are we feeling? I myself am feeling pretty good. Had a good workout today. Chilled out. Did a bit of work around the house. Just very simple stuff, but very magnified. What I want to talk about today is identification. Now, people don't know really much about identification itself, so they're identifying something, right? So I see that thing, I identify with it, or I identify that that is a thing, right? So if I see a jar, and you see a jar, we both see it, and we say, okay, we both identify. Cool, right? So we know what identification is. But I want to talk about your own self-identification. Now, I'm not talking on a level of I'm this or I am that and I am cool and I am whatever, right? It's not that, right? It's identifying from past experiences or trauma or good times or bad times, depending on whatever it is. Identifying it with it in the past and then bringing it in the present moment. This is something that we all do, right? When we've had some sort of a traumatic experience in life, we identify with that. It has happened to us, so then we identify with it, so we take it with us. Now, we don't want to take those things with us. We want to be peaceful, we want to be calm. As per se, most of the videos that I talk about is being a peaceful person, living a harmonious life. But what we tend to do is when we are carrying the baggage, we don't realize that we're carrying it. We don't realize that that past trauma that we identified with is coming with us, and we're carrying it not even noticing. It's like having chains in your back, pulling boulders, and you're like, why is this so hard? And you look behind you for the first time and you see, oh, there's boulders behind me. So today I'm going to show you and teach you how you can look behind yourself, right? As I say, mostly, thinking about the past and thinking about the future are two different things. Thinking about the present is the thing I want you to do. It's the thing that I always do, because I am in the present moment. I think about the now, not the future nor the past. If you're thinking about the past, you're identifying with your past trauma, and you're bringing it into your present moment. If you were thinking of the future, 9 times 10, you're outcome dependent. And you're dependent on what's going to happen if you do a certain thing, or if you do this, that, and the other. You are so dependent on the outcome of the future that you don't realize that you're already living in your future from when you were a kid. So you continue to grasp and say, okay, 10 years from now I'm going to do this, 5 years from now I'm going to do that. You're identifying and trying to grasp onto the thought of being dependent on the outcome so that you get your way. The thing is, being dependent, having desire, nor other than aversion, which is avoidance, of a simple fact, creates identification within yourself. Let's say this, I'll give you an example. If I go to the gym and I'm lifting weights, why am I lifting weights? Okay, there's a few reasons, and some of you could say, oh, I know the reason, and you're probably right, but there's many reasons why I work out. So one of them could be, he's working out because he wants to look big. That's one of them, yeah. Another guy says he's working out because he wants to attract chicks. Okay, that could be one as well. It's like, oh, he's working out because he wants to be healthy. It's like, yeah, that could be one as well. He said, well, he's working out so that he could be better than everybody else. I was like, well, okay, that could be one. So there's plenty of reasons. There's a lot of subjective opinions on people, where they view somebody and they have judgment within the first 5 seconds of looking at them. And they place an image, they place an identification linked to what they see, to their judgment. And they sit back and they're like, he's probably this or he's probably that, so I'm not going to talk to him. Or even a chick, she's probably this, she's probably that, I'm not going to talk to her. You know, having judgment goes hand in hand with identification. The thing is, when you self-identify through the situations that impact you in life, you become that. You take the identification from the past, the trauma that you've experienced, and bring that into the future with having the same attitude that you didn't have before. Having an attitude of, this has happened to me before, and I'm going to act this way so that I get my way this time. when we do this, we start to create a darkness within ourselves. Not the type of darkness that's evil. It's a darkness of feeling depressed and always in your shell, trying to defend off of the things that are coming at you. We see these things as boulders, as trains running at us down the track. And we're like, I remember this. And then you're in the same embodiment as you were as a child in that moment, and you feel the same way. But because you are older, you identify with being older so that you can say whatever you want. Now, there's rational and then there's emotional thinking on this. There's a rational decision and emotional action on this that you can take. But the way I'm talking about it is the emotion. When something bad happens, we react. And we're like, this has happened before, in a different way. Don't talk to me, don't do anything. And you try to reject what people say. Try to reject the environment, the scenario. But the thing is, for me, I myself, Jake, have learned not to identify with anything. Now, obviously I'm a man and I'm a guy, so I identify with being a guy, alright, obviously. But with my own self-subjective opinion, nor it is objective actually, I do not have an identification on myself. So if somebody comes up to me and says, hey, you're a loser, or you're this, that, and the other, I'd be like, oh, cool, bro. And then they're confused. They're like, why didn't he react? Because I did not identify. See, the thing is, you only have a problem with people in everyday life because you identify with what they say. You identify from the past trauma that you've had, and you carry that baggage with you, and you don't realize that you're carrying it. You never notice, and you're not really in the moment, that when you yell at somebody that way, or, tell them to mess off or go away, depending on the situation, there's rational and emotional thinking of this, but I'm talking about emotional, which is not mature. You self-destruct, and you find yourself in a moment of anger and anguish for the reason that somebody that you don't even know, that doesn't know you, said something to you, because he is holding on to the same identification that he has had when he was young. It's a back and forth. But if you said something rude to me, I would understand every intention, because I could see the mind. I know the reason why you were saying it, because of the past trauma. That doesn't mean that I can identify with it, because you're only saying words, and that to me is nothing really. But at the end of the day, how we can get over the identification and let it go, let it fall away from us, is by this. Look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, okay, this is me. I've been through this, and this. I will no longer identify with having these problems, or going through this, or holding on to my past, or being outcome dependent on the future because my past was not great. So I, myself, will stand there in the mirror and say, okay, this is wrong with me, this is wrong with me, this is wrong, and I will have my objective opinion, okay? And once I've admitted it to myself, nobody can say it to me. Because if you admit the things that are the cons of yourself, the things that aren't good, that you aren't so proud of, if you admit those things to yourself instead of reject it and say, no, I'm not that, you are going to be fine. Because if you keep rejecting the truth of certain things, people in everyday life may say those. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but in certain situations it does, certain time periods, certain little specks of time, it happens. When those scenarios come up, you will know how to deal with it. This is how I deal with it. Somebody says something rude to me, I say, okay, bro, and I just walk up. Cliche as it sounds, just saying, okay, bro, right? But I didn't identify with what he said. I didn't care what he said. Depending if I was doing something wrong and I was in the visualization or the awareness of me doing something wrong, then I would have taken accountability, because I am a man and I take accountability for my actions. But rational speaking, he is emotional, so I cannot respond in a emotional way, because I will be linking to him, I will be becoming him in a certain way, right? So kind of like that. So I separate myself. I do not identify, which gives me peace in my life, gives me harmony. So whatever you say to me wouldn't affect me, because I don't identify with being a certain way or being this or being that. I'm completely comfortable being myself. And the thing is, if you want to be extraordinary in life, it's not about being the best at something. It's about being your genuine self. Because there's nobody that is exactly like you in every way, shape, or form, every atom, every speck of your embodiment. So, that's how you become extraordinary. So don't identify with things. It's difficult, I know. But learn to live at peace and understand things through a more aware perspective. And life gets easier. Alright, logging off from this one. Hope you guys have a great day. Keep it in mind. Do your thing. Check out more videos. Please like, share the video as well for me. And subscribe.